Hello, dear Form 4 students. Welcome to the second edition of our online classes. I am your very able Mr. Lucon Bless Njoyi, and I urge you to stay attentively and listen to me as we will be evolving with other aspects of the First World War in Cameroon, which we have here. The reasons for the failure of the joint Anglo-French condominium in Cameroon. Equally, we are going to look at the Anglo-French partition of Cameroon, the introduction of the Anglo-French partition in Cameroon, and the reasons for the Anglo-French partition in Cameroon. Before we get into this, we are going to revisit what we did in our previous class. That was the reasons for the adoption of a joint Anglo-French condominium. We all advanced reasons explaining the adoption of the Anglo-French condominium, some of which were that the Allied powers were afraid of any attempt to counter-attack and recapture Cameroon from them by the Germans, and what have you. So today we are going to focus specifically on the reasons for the failure of the joint Anglo-French condominium. At the end of this lesson, we are expected to know the reasons, account for the reason of the failure of the joint Anglo-French condominium, and at the same time, we are equally expected to know the reasons for the Anglo-French partition of Cameroon in 1916, immediately after the First World War. Thank you, and listen attentively. Point number 1. Authority issues divided the countries. Yes, how did authority issues divide the countries? First of all, we should know that in the course of the First World War in Cameroon, there were two leaders at the side of the Allied forces. Under the joint Anglo-French condominium, there was one leader. So here we are supposed to know that the lone leader here was Charles Macpherson Dobell. Charles Macpherson Dobell happened to be the leader of the West African Expeditionary Force, and when the condominium came up, he was equally the leader of both the French and the British government in Cameroon, assisted by Archmary, the French official. So here there was a controversy on who should be the leader, should in case the actual or the present leader happens to give up the ghost. Here we saw that Charles Macpherson Dobell wanted to handle the two positions alone. The position of being the civil and the military administrator in Cameroon. But the French proposed equality. Equality in the sense that the civil administratorship should be given to the French and the military administratorship should be given to the British, making it equal. As a result of disagreement between these two parties, they were forced to let go of the condominium in Cameroon. So that was one of the reasons that led to the fall of the condominium. Here we go. We look at the second reason for the fall of the condominium in Cameroon. The second one was the succession problems. Okay, from the onset, we started talking of the succession points that could explain the succession problem. Britain wanted that in the case of death, Dobell should be replaced by another British, but the French refused. Britain wanted that in the case of, at the demise of Charles Macpherson Dobell, he should be replaced by another British official. But the French hated and turned down the proposal. This led to hostilities between these two parties, and the joint Anglo-French condominium was bound to fail. Thirdly, the issue of application. Britain wanted it to be applied everywhere, but France insisted that it should only be applied where the both parties jointly defeated or jointly captured. Areas like Douala and Yaoundé, where the Allied powers joined their skills and might together to capture this area from the Germans, the British wanted that these areas should be administered jointly, but the French said the areas jointly captured should be administered jointly and the areas separately captured should be administered separately, and this brought confusion among the two parties, thus leading to the fall of the joint Anglo-French condominium. Furthermore, management of troops. France wanted the troops to be jointly managed, while Britain was for separate management. France wanted the troops to be jointly managed because of insufficient funds. The funds were too meager. But the British wanted the troops to be managed separately. The British happened to be very authoritative in their own way of looking at the joint Anglo-French condominium. They wanted their troops to be managed by them themselves, whereas the British wanted, the French on the other hand, wanted the troops to be managed by both the French and the British, and this brought a lot of problems, thus leading to the fail or the leading to the collapse of the joint Anglo-French condominium. Differences in colonial policies. The French had a policy that was typically different from that of the British. The French used the policy of assimilation, where they aimed at converting Africans into French citizens, whereas the British employed what was known as the indirect rule policy. The indirect rule policy that was put in place by the British. These two policies happened to clash. When these two policies met, there was a clash, and the condominium was bound to fall or decline or collapse. Okay, looking at disagreement in appellation, the British wanted this form of government to be called a joint administration, while the French wanted it to be called a condominium, and as a result, this joint administration was bound to fail. We are going to go further by looking at language. The British used the English language, while the French used the French language, and this was a point of disagreement, because one would not understand the other, and it would cause a lot of disagreements between them. As a result, this issue of language equally led to, or equally contributed to the fall of the condominium. That notwithstanding, immediately they learned that there was a failure of the condominium. There was need for another strategy to be put in place, and that strategy was the partition of